Okay, live from Crystal Green Drive. This is Jo with his guest all the way from upstairs, Mighty Nighty. Here you go, Night. What did you have for supper today?
Um, we had cereal.
Good try.
Um,
What did we just eat?
we just ate pepperoni pizza, and
Here.
salad.
Yeah. And what do you want for Christmas?
Um, I want a Spider-Man fidget spinner.
Wow, and what is your favorite food ever?
Um, oranges.
Say night
Night,
is gone.
night is done.
Okay, and this is Smiling Ireland, all the way from the middle bedroom. And Smiling, we want to know what's the first letter of your first name?
Island or I.
And what does I stand for in math?
um, what? Imaginary number.
And what is an imaginary number equal?
Um, square root of -1.
Nice, good girl. And what do you want for Christmas?
Probably some clothes and stress toys.
Okay, no chance, you guys. Too expensive. And I gotta buy lots of coke. Thanks for coming down to the station. This is WJO out. Okay, let's have a prayer.
And I pray for the soldiers and everybody in the soldier
Good job.
and everybody in the family, everybody, and hope they have a safe time. I hope they be safe. Amen.
Oh, good job. Nice. Beautiful. Thank you.
And I pray for that everyone can stay safe during COVID and that everyone can have a nice day today. For this, I pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
Lord.
All right, that was awesome. Okay, that's correct homework on page 5. This is it right here. And I'm just going to go one question in 4. A or B, I guess we'll go B because it's a negative slope. So first we have to plot 6 to the right and 3 down. That's the first thing you do. Number 1 is plot that point, 6, and there it is. From there, you need your slope, -1/3. That's the rise, and that's the run. So you gotta go 1 down. -1 rise means 1 down, 3 to the right. There's your other point. 1 down, 3 to the right. Now, if you run out of graph and you don't want to extend it, you can always go to the opposite of 3 to the right, 1 down, which is 3 to the left, and 1 up. 3 to the left and 1 up. So remember, we need 3 other points, and we have a -3, 0, so they did that 3 times. They didn't do my first point. Doesn't matter. I'll accept all of the answers, of course. So if you want, you can put 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -4 if you want to as well. I'm sure some of you have that. Okay, and you can just double check your answer in 4A. There it is. Number 6, just going to do one of these, rise or run, C and D, right there. I don't know. I guess I'll still with the negative. So this person, they don't use x. I would use x, please. Use a variable. We're doing algebra. So -6/11. You notice how they put the negative sign up top. You betcha. Over 11 equals what? Over 33. They're cross multiplied it. So 33 times -6 is -198. X divide by 11, divide by 11. Now myself, I would just go times 3 to get 33. So now I have to multiply the top by 3, and I get x equals negative 18. Seven's a goodie because I don't use rise over run, but height, you can guess whether it's rise or run. And then the base, make sure you know what base means bottom. We did that in tricky word problems. So slope equals 2 over 3. So 2 over 3 equals rise over run. So what's the rise? H. What's the run? And if you know this is divided by 2, you can divide by 2 to get h equals 1, but you might not. So we're going to cross multiply this one. Doesn't matter how you do it. I'll mark them both right. So 2 times 1.5 is 3, and 3 times h is 3h, and then you divide both sides by 3. H equals 1. Go Flames. I like number 9er. It is fine, because they all look like the right answers. But remember, you go from left to right. So we're going to start here and finish at Q. So how far do I go down first? Is it negative 3 or negative 4? You go 4 down and 3 to the right. Don't guess. All of these look good if you're guessing. So just think, do I go up or down first? If I go down, it's negative. If I go up, it's positive. And then how many to the right? That's always positive. That's why we start left to right. And there's the quick review for quadrants, which we saw earliest, actually the very first second, I think, in the functions unit. So don't forget, those are the quadrants. S is in quadrant 4. Yep, that's right. And PR does have a positive slope because it goes up from left to right. Ta-da! Okay, it's go time with some new questions. This is the slope formula. y2 subtract y1 equals x2 subtract x1. Again, I'll provide it for you, but you have to know how to use it. You need to know that the y's go on the top and the x's go on the bottom, and it's x2 subtract, sorry, y2 and x2 subtract y1. So you do this one, subtract this one on the numerator, and this one, subtract this one in the denominator. And now we're going to have, we did yesterday, we did these ones with no signs. Now we're going to have one with negatives. And if you have a negative in the first point, it's going to end up being subtract a negative, because you have a you have subtraction in the formula, and then you have a number that's negative. So it's going to be subtract a negative, which means plus. Okay, so for this one, you can see the formula here, so I'm not going to write it down. So y, remember, this is x1. Sorry, let me get rid of this arrow here. This is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. I don't know why I put y2 there. Okay, so the formula is y2 subtract y1. y2 is negative 2. Subtract y1 is 8. That follows nicely. This one is x2, 7. Subtract, and then you see that you have a negative 3. So you have to subtract a negative 3. Not subtract 3, subtract negative 3, which is 7 plus. Two negatives means plus. Okay, when you subtract a negative, same effect as adding. You can write it down if you want to, or you can just add 7 plus 3. And then you have to remember, reduce it. So the slope equals negative 1 for that line. So you will start noticing that every time you have a negative in the first point, that's going to create your double sign. So I'm going to leave it as subtract negative, but soon I'm going to just start writing 3, 7 plus 3. So anytime you have a negative on the first point, okay? So let's scroll down. If you didn't get that, write it down quick. And do these guys that have, well, probably half of them are negative. Okay, so this one, the slope is y2 subtract y1. So is that going to be 3 subtract negative 2 or just 3 subtract 2? No, the subtraction sign's in the formula and there's a negative sign, so it's subtract negative 2. And then this one is 0 subtract 12. And then you just 3 plus 2 is 5 and negative 12. And what you do have to do when you have a negative sign in the bottom, you got to move it up top. Okay, so go ahead and do B and D on your own with that setup. I'll get you to pause and you can take 4-ish minutes. Okay, so formula is y2 subtract y1. Again, this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. So y2 subtract 1 is negative 2 subtract 3 in the numerator. And in the denominator is 2 subtract negative 2. 2 subtract negative 2, which is 2 plus 2. So negative 5, 2 plus 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, my fingers say. And that's it. That's the slope. This one's so scary. Look at all these numbers. Ooh, oh, they're mostly negative. Ooh, so sad. Nope, happy, happy. Same stuff. Good question to show mom and dad and get a free car. Slope equals y2 subtract y1. Same thing every time. Negative 27 subtract negative 41. So that's going to be plus 41. And this is negative 20 subtract 36. Negative 20 subtracts in the formula. And then y1 is, sorry, x1 is 36. Now we add them. I'm going to go on a limb and say that's 14 equals negative 56. And now we reduce, and believe it or not, you can divide both by 14, or you can divide by 7 and 2, but you have to reduce it until it is 1 over negative 4. Let's say 14. And then one more thing, you leave your negative sign in the numerator, not the denominator. A negative 1/4, great job. Fix up what you need to fix up, and we're good to go. Okay, next page, page 7, which is set in Spanish. I know. Collinear. I would ask you one of these questions, but if you see collinear, you have to know what that means. So when I give you a question just like this, you have to find the slope of AB, these 2 points, and then the slope of BC, these 2 points. If they're equal, the points are collinear. They form a line. If they're not equal, those 3 points are not on the same line. Okay, so I'll do M of AB together. So 6, sorry, I guess I got this as blue. M of AB is 6 subtract negative 3. So I'm going to start putting plus when this number is negative. 6 plus 3 and 2 subtract 5. You get 9 divided by negative 3, which equals negative 3. Your turn to do slope of BC. Go ahead and find the slope of these 2 points. So this is really just 2 questions in one. You got to find the slope of AB and then find the slope of BC. And then know a fun math word, collinear. If the 2 slopes are equal, these points are collinear. Okay, remember, you have to answer the question. So the question is, are points A, B, and C collinear? Okay, BC, so y2, 33 subtract 6, all divided by negative 7, subtract 2. Oops, I went to the wrong one. Subtract 2. So 27, all divided by negative 9, and we're happy. They're equal, but answer the question, please. Therefore, that's what the 3 dots means. A, B, C are collinear. Mom, look what I did. Look what I did. Here's some McDonald's. Okay, great job. Next question. So that's I mean, the only time you do that is when I say collinear. So it's only a 1 question type of thing. But you don't want to get 0. If you don't know what collinear means, you're not going to get any marks if you don't know what to do with those points. Next question is a hard question. Okay, and again, I'm not going to have more than 2 of these on the test, but you would have to know this, and you have to at least get some marks. Okay, so it gives you the slope, and it gives you 2 points. Well, geez, we just did all of this. Sorry, last page, I guess. When we had 2 points, we find the slope. Have 2 points, find the slope. Look at all that work. We had 2 points, and I found the slope. So that's going to help us do this question. Except for we're not finding the slope now. We have the slope. We have to find k. So slope equals, this is the formula we're using, y2 subtract y1, all divided by x2 subtract x1. The slope is 3. So instead of finding it, we're just going to sub it in, m equals 3. And now we do our y2 and y1 thing. So y2 k subtract 6 looks weird, but that's the formula. And now we do the x's. Well, 5 subtract 1. Sorry, 5 subtract 4. And now what do we do? Well, we simplify 5 subtract 4 over 1. Anything over 1 is itself, or you could cross multiply. But anything over 1 is itself, so I'm just going to rewrite this as 3 equals k subtract 6. And now we have to solve for k. I will give you 30 seconds to do that. You usually have to cross multiply here. Only when the denominator is 1, like in this case, you do not have to cross multiply. But most of the time, this is going to be a 5 or a 7 or a 9 or a whatever, negative 2, and then you're going to cross multiply and then solve. In this case, this is the easiest type of solve an equation. You do the opposite of subtract 6, which is add 6, and we get full marks. K equals 9. You definitely want this setup. This step is worth marks. Yum, yum. Okay, so you have to know how to start this question, and I'm sure you have one for homework. Okay, so homework for you over the weekend is 1 question on page 7 and the rest of page 8, all on slope formula, and a couple finding k questions. And then we're going to go to parallel perpendicular lines. You want to get all these right. And they're also, this is an important concept for one of the steps in our two-steppers that are coming up. Parallel, I don't need to start because it is. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if you look at example 1 on page 45, this is textbook. You can see that, and it makes sense, parallel lines have the same slope because they never intersect. So they have to have the exact same slope and they're parallel. So the examples, and go ahead and write these down from the graph, is they have -3, 6 and -1/2. Those are parallel lines. They're the same slope. Or you could have -2/1 and -4/2. If you reduce that, they would be identical. Okay, so those are parallel lines. So are two lines parallel? You find the slope and see if they're the same. Perpendicular lines, first of all, let's understand what they are. They form a 90-degree angle when they intersect. Okay, those are perpendicular. Okay, you know that the right angle, that's perpendicular line, the XY axis. They have negative reciprocal slopes. Okay, I like that one better than this one. So negative reciprocal slopes. So examples of parallel slopes is one is equal to 3/4, and the other one is the reciprocal of that, which is you flip it, 4/3. But one of them has to be negative and one of them has to be positive. Okay, only one is negative and one is positive. If they're both negative, they're not perpendicular. If they're both positive, they're not perpendicular. So another example, if you had 5, or sorry, let's say -5, the other slope would be, well, this would be -5/1. So if you flip it, you get 1/5. Okay, those would be perpendicular lines, two lines with those kind of slopes. Okay, let's move on to our textbook and go to example 2. And if you look at example 2, it says, are these two lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So they calculate the slope using the 2 points. And the slope of PQ is 8/5. The slope of RS is 5/8. Good question. Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, parallel means are they the same? Are they the same? Nope. Are they negative reciprocals? Oh, we wanted to make them perpendicular so badly. They're only perpendicular if one of them is negative. So these are neither. Neither. Even though they're trying to fool you. Okay, so your turn to do, and in fact, shut your book and I'll just write this down so I don't want you to get the answer. So check your understanding says, is the line ST that passes through S and T parallel, perpendicular, or neither to the points U, -2, 3, and V, 7, 6. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is find the slope of ST, and then you're going to find the slope of UV, knowing that this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. And just a friendly reminder that anytime the first coordinate is negative, sorry, this one and this one I should say, my bad, this is the second coordinate. Anytime the x1 or y1 is negative, it becomes a plus, becomes a double sign. All right, you go ahead and pause it, and we'll give you, I don't know, 3 minutes to do that. Okay, let's do the slope. -2 subtract, oops, that's supposed to be green. -5 subtract 7. Why isn't that green? And 2 plus 2. That equals negative 12 over 4, which equals negative 3. And now we got the slope of v uv. I guess I can stick with green. So 6 subtract 3 over 7 plus 2. That equals 3/9. Don't leave it like that. You have to reduce it to 1/3. So divide the numerator and denominator by 3. Now, that doesn't look like it's parallel or perpendicular until we put this over 1. Because remember, any number, 7 is 7 over 1, negative 9 is negative 9 over 1, x is x over 1. So now you can see that it's flipped and it's a negative reciprocal. So these are perpendicular. Yeah. Okay, page 347, example 3. This should actually say example 3a. We're only going to do example 3a. And you can see that it says determine the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the line through E, 2, 3, and F, negative 4, negative 1. And the first step is to find the slope using the slope formula that we've done all day. y2 subtract y1, all divided by x2 subtract x1. Anytime y1, x1 is a negative, it becomes a double sign, plus. And once you do that, you're not done. Okay, so it's important to remember this is a two-stepper. Okay, it feels like you're done after you find the slope, because before we started parallel perpendicular, we were always done after we found slope. But now if it says perpendicular, and whenever it says perpendicular, I'm going to encourage you to underline it 2 times, because perpendicular means negative reciprocal. So that means we find the slope and then we flip it and add a negative sign, or flip it and take away a negative sign. Okay, only one of them can be negative. So having said that, let's look at example 3a, and I want you to find the perpendicular slope of the between the line segment between the points negative 2, 3, and 1, negative 2. Okay, go ahead. Your turn. I'll talk you through it. Go ahead and find the slope, and then the second step, don't forget it. And you know what? Let's write down perpendicular and double underline it. Okay, when it says perpendicular, that means there's 2 steps. Okay, so go ahead and find the slope GH. I'll give you 3 minutes to do this. Pause, 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 pause. Okay, slope of GH is negative 2, subtract 3, over 1, subtract negative 2, which is 1 plus 2. So negative 5/3. But we're not done. It feels like we're done, but that's why we put 1, 2, and we underline perpendicular twice. Slope of the perpendicular line, and I want you to write down the symbol. That symbol means perpendicular. Just a right-angled symbol there. So slope of the perpendicular means that we flip these and we either add a negative sign or subtract a negative sign. So it becomes 3/5, and this one is negative, so this one isn't. If this one is a negative, then this one is. One of them has to be negative. Good job. Super duper fun. I agree. Just like the questions on page 349. Maybe I should buy a 349 ticket. I would be luckier than that, Lotto, because I've never won in anything for 649. Oh, one time I got 4 numbers. I think I was quite young when I did that. 4/5 is the slope for 3a. Together, we're doing this. It says, the slopes of lines are given below. For each line, what slope is a parallel line? So if the slope equals 4/5, a parallel line, don't ever want to get this question wrong, is 4/5. It's exactly the same. This is the symbol for parallel. Write it down, please. The symbol for parallel looks like an 11. Two parallel vertical lines. Okay, you do 3C. Go ahead, same question. If the slope is 3, what's the slope of a parallel line? I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, good job. Yep. Parallel line slope is the same. Okay, 4B. We're on page 349 in our text, but you don't really need to go there. So 4 says the slopes of lines are given below. For each line, what slope is the perpendicular line? Oh, perpendicular. Double underline. So the slope in 4B is -5/8. What's the perpendicular slope? We're going to do this one together. Well, we have to flip it. So we get 8/5, and then add a negative sign if this one doesn't have a negative sign. This one has a negative sign, so that's it. Only one of them can have a negative sign. Go ahead and do your 4D, which is -5. Slope is -5. I'll give you 1 minute to do that. And the trick to this one is putting it over 1. So -5 is 5 over 1, so perpendicular is flip it, and one of them has a negative sign. Negative reciprocal, those are perpendicular. Let's do 5A, is not much to 5A. Let's go purple for 5 and 6. 5A says the slopes of two lines are given. Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, come on. They're exactly the same, so they're parallel. 6 is more of a question I'll ask. 6 says the slope is -4/9. I want to know what the parallel slope is and the perpendicular slope. And I think you can tackle this. Give you 30 seconds, even though we're supposed to do this together. I think you're good. Actually, you're supposed to do this on your own. Never mind. So write down the parallel slope and the perpendicular slope, and I'm going to give you 18 seconds to do that. Parallel slope is the same. Perpendicular slope, I wish this wasn't negative, but 9 over 4. And if this was 4/9, then this would have to be negative. But it's not. So the answer for this question is 9/4. That is it. Homework. You got page 6 and 7, and you got this textbook stuff you can do in your book. Okay, so homework is right here. I think there's only one question on number 7. Sorry, page 7. One question, and then page 8, most of it, and then page 9, this textbook question on page 349, and they're very quick, parallel, perpendicular stuff. It is a weekend. God bless. Have an awesome day.